welcome to Sports Counsel, your playbook for all things sports. I am your host, Matt, and I am here with G and Bryant for this episode of the show. With just days before the 2025 NFL season kicks off, it is time for our annual season's predictions episode. From division winners, who makes the playoffs, and what teams will be facing off in Super Bowl 60, we discuss and debate it all on this episode. Today is August 27th, 2025, and this is episode 184 of the show. All right.
How are you guys?
We're so close. Almost there.
It's the
Long
start
off
of the football season. Just a week and 1 day away, I believe.
Yep. Last game we had was that nonsense in New Orleans in February that barely was even a football game. So, I'm quite ready for the season to begin.
That was
also this preseason has been hitting. I don't know why. I just feel like it's been a good preseason.
I honestly haven't watched that much preseason. But, either way, this is our annual season's predictions episodes. We are going to be going through all of our division winners, what we think is going to happen for the entire season. Maybe you want to put a couple of bets on it. Hint, hint. We're not liable for anything, but just in case you want to listen to our astute logic, we got you covered. But before we get to that, we are Sports Counsel. And G, where can they find Sports Counsel?
Yeah, I would love to tell the people where they can find Sports Counsel. So we're on all your big social media platforms. I'm talking Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook. Wherever you think we are most likely there. So go follow us. Go check out our Instagram, our tweets and everything we got. And in the bio of those social media, you're going to find the link to our Discord. Our Discord is the best place where you can interact with us, talk to us about different things, ask us questions, especially with I'm sure everybody's having their fantasy drafts this week. So if you have questions, you want to ask Matt, you want to ask me, you want to ask everybody. Everybody participates. So it's not just us answering your questions. What you think, where you should draft, whatever it is, best place is Discord. And we'd love to run mock drafts. Who doesn't? So join the Discord, follow us on all the social medias. We're on all your big ones, so you can't miss us. Just look for Sports_Counsel. It's that easy. It's the name of the podcast with the underscore in the middle. Man, can't be simpler.
Can't be simpler, and we love interacting with our fans and our listeners. We always talk all the time in the Discord, and we're debating everything here. So, yeah, stick around. Come follow us. All right, fellas. This is going to basically predict, the entire season right here. Even though we're about to watch for the next 4 months, I think we all feel like we know what's going to happen for the next 4 months, right? According to, this podcast, and according to what I see on our, doc right here.
Oh, do we now? We got some pretty interesting picks and teams to discuss.
I feel like there always is a few shockers for what we kind of go with here. For some right, for some wrong. I think, Matt, you're going to give us the statistics of how we did last year.
As always, G. We do pretty well. I feel like we clean up pretty well. Last year, we had this predictions episode. I predicted 11 out of the 14 teams that did end up making the playoffs. 3 out of 8 division winners correct. And I did predict both the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, as well as the MVP being Josh Allen. So, feather in my cap to that one. Thanks, voters, for not going for Lamar on that. G, you got 7 out of the 14 playoff teams right. You got 4 out of the 8 division winners. And you had both the Chiefs and the Eagles in the Super Bowl. So that's pretty good right there.
Yeah, I called that Saquon bump, man. People didn't believe it, but...
And I know, Bryant, you weren't on the last predictions episode, but I do want to give a shout-out to Gav, who was. He got 9 out of the 14 playoff teams and 7 out of the 8 division winners, which was actually very, very accurate. Who knew? Who knew Gav had that in him?
Who knew Gav actually knew ball, huh?
Yeah, if he had a crystal ball, he'd be better at fantasy.
Ooh, that's a call out.
Shots
right
taken. Now you gotta do better than him now, all right? You're talking shit, Brian. You replace him. You gotta get at least
You'll
better
see
than
what
9.
I'm cooking, man. I'm cooking out here.
Oh man, yeah, I've seen some of them. I don't know if I would use those words to describe it, but let's get right into it. So we're gonna go division by division. I think we're gonna start in the NFC East. Me and Matt, we're pretty squared away here. We're taking the defending Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia Eagles, to win the Super Bowl. I don't think there's too much to discuss there. But Bryant, you don't have them winning the division after winning the Super Bowl. Who do you have?
Yeah, there's another team in the division that I think has a fairly good shot in the Commanders. They had a pretty good, first run in the playoffs with Jaden Daniels at the helm, and I'm hoping he has another jump out. Well, he already broke out already, but another huge season as second year at the QB at the helm. His weapons, he's got Terry McLaurin back. He has Debo Samuel, who I'm hoping he's going to refine some of his old form, post injuries and be that guy again. I believe I'm holding out, I think their offensive line looks pretty solid too, right? You got Larry Tunsil, Andrew Wiley, Tyler Bezat looks pretty solid. And their defense, I will admit, there's a whole lot of unks in the chat there, a whole lot of vets. You got your Bobby Wagner, your Von Miller. But honestly, I'm looking at cornerback. Hey, as long as your cornerback isn't Benjamin St-Juste, I don't know who Trey Amos is, but as long as it's not Benjamin St-Juste, they're going to have a better secondary. So, I feel like you can't count out the Commanders, just given how well they did last year.
I definitely see the Commanders still being a really good team. And kind of, I would say similar to like the Texans last year, where they kind of took a step backwards. But overall, you would say they still had the same level of success in terms of just making the playoffs, getting some playoff wins, or just a win. And I think that's a lot for the Commanders, and Jaden Daniels' second year, yes, he could take a big step forward, but there's a higher chance the NFL kind of catches up to him more than he keeps running away from the NFL, if that makes sense, right?
My biggest concern is that, one, I do like the Larry Tunsil ad. That's great. And I do like that the Commanders are kind of going a little bit more in now that they have something in Jaden. And I do think that as far as the Texans are concerned, like the Texans, their offensive line kind of got worse. And that's why CJ Stroud kind of got worse and that whole offense got worse. I think they made strides to upgrade that offensive line to get better. So I think that the offense will be fine. Debo, I'm not going to comment on Debo, but McLaurin, the holdout worries me a little bit because when they come out in training camp and they hold out the entire time and they sign at the last minute, I mean, Bryant, we just saw it with Brandon Ayuk. That chemistry kind of goes off. Even though they played together the whole last season, that chemistry kind of goes a little bit awry there. So, and then, when you talk about the defense, there's not really a lot of improvement there. Dan Quinn, even though he's a defensive-minded head coach, has never really impressed me on defense, surprisingly. I just think that the Eagles are just more stable, right? And I know they've lost a couple linemen. I think they lost Brandon Graham, right? And then they lost their offensive coordinator, which was a big deal the year before they won the Super Bowl when they didn't hire the correct offensive coordinator, and it kind of led to a decline there. So, but they still got the main pieces there. They got A.J. Brown, Devonta, Saquon, Hurts, monster defense. Bond, a couple of rookie defensive guys who are only going to get better. And, the Eagles are still probably better than the Commanders. Like, we saw them in the NFC Championship. They destroyed them. Yeah. So I still feel like the difference is too big at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty fair.
I really want to, think about how they played, and it wasn't very close, and how the Commanders, yes, they technically on paper made some upgrades, but a lot of aging upgrades where, it doesn't always pan out for those type of, players. So I don't think it's solidified that everything they did this offseason is a upgrade necessarily.
Did you know? I didn't know Von Miller was a Commander.
He was there last year too during the playoffs.
No, he wasn't. He signed this offseason, if I'm not mistaken, like maybe towards the end of the offseason as well.
Oh man,
that's cool.
That's unction right there.
That was very big.
The function. Actually, G, you mentioned a good point. Actually, you mentioned, maybe the rest of the league catches up to Jalen Daniels. It'll open up to you too, Matt. Do you think that same thing can happen to the Eagles? You mentioned their O-line might be a little bit, weaker coming to this year, but, they still got the tush push, that run-heavy offense. Do you think maybe just their system is probably too strong for other teams to kind of counter there?
Yeah, I would kind of contend to say so. I think of foundationally speaking, like having the same, quarterback, two receivers, O-line, tight end, running back, like why wouldn't they be on the same page as last year, right? I just understand Kellen Moore's not there, but Kellen Moore is not night and day. He's very replaceable in my opinion. So I think He's good. He's a good offensive coordinator, and we'll see if he's a good coach. But I think he's a good offensive coordinator, but he's not like, a great offensive coordinator. I think he definitely had a very simple system of like, hey, we're not going to do too much. We're not going to try to pass the ball too much. We're going to continue to feed to Saquon with the run first offense, build a lead, have a great defense, and Fangio's still there, which I would definitely think is a more important defense like coordinator out of the two. I think he brought more irreplaceability to like their coaching staff in terms of like you can't let him go anywhere because it's like that defense like fell apart the year after he left and then became another top 5 defense when he came back. Like for me, that's way more important. So the offense might take a little step back, but they're still, I think, going to be a few games better than the Commanders.
I think it's the Super Bowl bump. Whenever you see these champions, they win the Super Bowl, they usually do really well the next year, even better than maybe their last record was. Like I think the Packers, they were the 6th seed when they won the Super Bowl, and then they went 15-1 the next year. Like they get that kind of confidence in themselves, and they believe they're the best team in the league, and then they're just dishing it out to everybody else because they think, we're the champions, we got to defend our title. Like I think it's the same with the Eagles, and I actually have them as the 1st seed in the entire NFC. I think they might have the best record as well.
Yeah, I think I might agree with you on both things there.
Yeah. All right, let's head on to the North. I mean, you and Bryant this time are teamed up against me. You guys have, the boring defending division champions in the Lions. But look, guys, I think the Packers finally are going to do this, right? I predicted it last year. Didn't work out, obviously. But I don't see how you can think that the Packers are not going to be better than last year because, first of all, Jordan Love literally hurt his, MCL in the first game in Brazil, I think. Or
trying to throw a Hail Mary at the end of the game against Sao Paulo.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And then I don't think he was ever completely healthy after that. I mean, it's hard to kind of, be in full condition and be able to do all of that. And they had to rely on their run game, right? And they didn't really have a number 1 wide receiver as well. Now they kind of addressed that with Matthew Golden, with their 1st round pick. This is the first time they've done it since like 2004 or whatever, so they really must believe in this guy, right? And then, you look at the Lions side, right? They're still 1st in the division. That means they're going to get all the tougher games against the division winners, like the Rams, like the Eagles and whatnot. And, they've lost both their coordinators. And the last time that happened, it was the Eagles. And they pretty much suffered because of it. And G, I think, you said before, like Dan Campbell, you're not quite sure of the coach he is in terms of the X's and O's guy. So I don't know exactly if retaining him and, losing these guys, it's that brain drain right there. And then losing guys like Frank Ragnow, I think he's gone.
I think he retired, which is huge.
Yeah. And like all of these other guys, it's just hard to make me believe that the Lions can stay on top, especially since we saw like the problems that they lost to the Commanders last year. And it's kind of
that's true. That's true. But I kind of want to address those final points about the Lions more say about the Packers. I don't think the Packers are a bad team, so I don't want to be like, oh, they don't got this and they don't got that. I still get some little foreshadowing. They might be my playoff teams here soon, but I have the Lions winning because I'm looking at it defensively. They were so banged up and so injured. They were calling guys in from the practice squad to start. They had Aiden Hutchinson, their best player, out, who's going to be ready to go first week of the season, which is huge, which cannot be like understated how good he is. Like he is like a young budding superstar off the edge for the Lions, right? He was a number 2 pick, who should have been number 1 pick. So there is a aspect of it of just like, okay, sure, maybe X's and O's where take a step back, but just personnel on the field, we're much better just by health, right? So there's a case of that for me. So that's why I'm like, I probably think, the division as a whole comes down a little bit in terms of there's not going to be 14, 15 win teams.
Yeah, they had 3 10-win teams at least, right?
Yeah. And so that's a lot. I think there'll be 2 this year, and I think we'll have the Lions around maybe 11, 12 wins, and then the Packers right around like 10.
Were they against the AFC South last year? I think they were just farming those the weak teams right there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I think they were.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think that the Packers are gonna like leapfrog the Lions in terms of so many wins. I think it's going to be a 1-game difference. And I feel like there's going to be just 1 or 2 games where the Lions just didn't have it and the Packers did. And again, it comes down to those games where it's more competitive. Like the Lions have to face the Rams, right? I don't know who the Packers have to face in our division, like the Seahawks or something like that. I think it's just the difference between 1 or 2 of those games that will make the difference here.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't disagree with you too much about them being close. I think it might come down to if they're playing each other week 18, right? So I think it should be exciting. The rest of the 2 teams, I do kind of want to mention because I won't be probably bringing them up, especially the Vikings. They're going to have, if there was a first to worst or something like that, they would definitely be in that conversation. Like I know they didn't win the division last year, but I see a dramatic fall off here. And just
nobody believes in JJ McCarthy, man. Nobody here.
It's not I just don't think it's a first year starting situation for him. Like he's the first year starting. You didn't, really run a pro style offense in Michigan, so you got to kind of come here, pick it all up. You got hurt, didn't get an off season really. So it's like I hoping he can by the end of the year be in a situation where next year we're like, yeah, the Vikings are going to be great. They got the quarterback. They got a lot of everything else figured out. They're going to be good. Until that point, until I see it for a whole year, they're going to have a huge fall off. And I might as well mention that while we talk about the NFC North here.
We can't forget about the other team though, in the Bears,
yes, we can.
who sneakily.
We can move on.
I can talk about later too, but I think
mentioned.
they're good.
Yeah,
they will. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go to the most exciting division, the NFC South. Wait, what? No one's ever said that before.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Maybe more like chaotic. What is it?
I think it's chaotic. I think it's like a beautiful, like just flame. It's just going to be a shit show that's just pretty to look at. I think we all agree Saints are not in this conversation of winning the division, and then we all got someone else. So the other 3 teams we all got. I'll start with my case for the Falcons. You have Michael Penix, the second-year quarterback, at the end of the last year when he did get into a chance to play, he was starting to look really good, really comfortable within that system. And Drake London really broke out to be a wide receiver 1. Bijan is a top 2 to 3 running back. Their O-line is very solid, although I think they did suffer a injury to one of their tackles right before the season started, and he's going to be out for the year, which is a little bit of concern, but I do want to kind of think about how the Bucs are kind of regarded as like this, top tier team, but they were only 1 game ahead of the Falcons last year. And, this year the Bucs and the Falcons play week 1. And if the Falcons can win that game, they might just have the tiebreaker going down all the way to the end of the year. I know it's kind of crazy to think 1 game in the beginning can decide so much, but that's how it was for the NFC South last year, right? There's a chance that Falcons just need to win a few divisional games, which I think they can. I like their young edge rushers. They drafted 2 in the first round. Like, hey, one of them's got to be probably elite or really good. I'd hope,
You'd hope.
You'd hope, but there's a great chance he is. They're one of the 2 is. Like, and that's just kind of how drafting in the first round works, right? Like, get more shots at it. There's a great chance one of them's going to hit. And I'm not the believer in the Panthers. I think they're a year or 2 away. I don't even know if Bryce Young is I'm sold on him. I don't know if the Panthers are sold on Bryce Young.
All right.
I didn't realize that. You mentioned a good point. It was like the Falcons, Buccaneers kind of week 1. And I chose the Buccaneers as kind of the division winner. And that's honestly all the more important. They have, Tristan Wirfs, Chris Godwin. I think they both passed their physical like today or something.
I don't think either is still projected to play at the beginning of the season.
That's true. Games are coming up. Hopefully, if they are, they will be fully set up, ready to go for that first game there, too. I just put a lot of stock in this Buccaneers offense, right? People are saying a lot Baker Mayfield might regress a bit this season. But Bucky Irving, he broke out last year. He'll be a top running back in the league. And, of course, Mike Evans, yearly consistent with 1,000 yards per season there. And, of course, their latest draft pick, their latest weapon, Emeka Egbuka. I think I pronounced that right. Star out of Ohio State there too. Just 3 devastating weapons at wide receiver there. So this offense is going to be hot. We'll have to see if their defense can kind of keep up the pace, hold down the fort for them. But I feel like if they get, if hopefully they're healthy for that first game of the season, given its kind of importance potentially for the rest of the season. But yeah, this offense, looking for to be red hot this year.
All right, guys, you want to hear my wild take?
Let's
You
hear
know
it.
it's not the Saints. You know it's not the
Oh, no.
Falcons. You know it's not
Who
the
you going
Bucks. I'm going with the Carolina Panthers to win the NFC South. Put it in writing, put it on walls, put it on my tombstone. It's going to happen. If I could
Maybe don't
bet,
do the last
I would
part.
bet. I would bet on it, but I cannot bet on it. Either way, the Panthers are going to win the division. Here's why. You talked about you talked about Bryce Young not potentially being the solution for Carolina, right? But I did see something in, the trend that he had in the last couple of years. Like in the last couple of games of the season, we all know what happened at the beginning of last season, right? He was a disaster. He was like straight up, he looked broken. He didn't throw a single touchdown in like the first, he didn't throw a touchdown for like the first half of the season, basically.
Yeah, it was a minute. It was a quick minute.
Yeah, and he had to be benched for Andy Dalton, and I think there was like a part where he threw an interception and it looked like he was about to cry, right? Like he looked absolutely broken inside. But when he came back with a vengeance, right? And I remember we were talking about it once in a fantasy football episode where we actually said to start Bryce Young, right? Because he was actually tearing it up. And the last game of the season, he literally finished as the quarterback one because he had 3 touchdowns, 25 for 34 for 251, right? He rushed for 2 touchdowns as well. Like he was a monster. He had the groove in him. And this was against a division opponent in the Falcons who were trying to win because they needed to get into the playoffs over the Bucks, right? They had to play to win. And Bryce Young defeated them right there and there. Like, I think he has the mojo. I think he's got the confidence right now. Dave Canales, who was the Buccaneers' former offensive coordinator who turned around Baker Mayfield, I think he's going to do the same rehabilitation project for Bryce Young, right? And, the offensive line, I think Carolina's offensive line is one of the best in the league. And they invested a lot of resources into making that happen. And they still got Chuba Hubbard. They added Rico Dowdle, so now they got a 2-headed kind of backfield. They did trade away Adam Thielen, but they spent a top, 5 pick, I want to say, top 10 pick on Ted McMillan. They got Bryce Young, a number 1 alpha wide receiver finally. And
but
that offense is going to be great, right?
My pushback there is just it's like they just benched the guy. Like, they obviously knew that he wasn't going to be...
man. It's been a year. Move past it. Anthony Richardson was benched, much more recently than that. Right?
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the thing. Anthony Richardson isn't good either.
But Anthony Richardson, when he got benched, he came back and then he lost the job again to Daniel Jones. I think when Bryce Young got benched, he came back and he won.
I think the chances of the Panthers winning the division are just as good as the chances of Bryce Young losing the job again.
Damn, that's tough.
What
do you think is the percentage then?
I'd probably say it's like a 25% chance they make the playoffs. Or may win this. I'd probably even say less. I'd probably like 15% chance that they win the NFC South. I think there's about a 15% chance Bryce Young goes out there and plays like he did at the beginning of the year. Teams are ready for him. Teams aren't just taking them as the lowly Panthers, and then he sucks again. Like, you got to think about it. The reason why he was so good is because there was a negative amount of expectation for them to play meaningful football. So he's catching teams off guard.
He's playing against guys that needed to play to get into the playoffs at the end of the year. His last 2 games was against Tampa Bay and Atlanta. And he did well in both of them. So, I don't understand that logic right there.
But neither of those defense, I'm like, holy shit, he just fucking beat the fucking, or played good against 2 bad defenses. Like, if that's your logic, right? He wasn't the one guarding Mike Evans or something where I'd be like, holy shit, he just, did something where I'd be impressed. Like, yes, he looked good. And I don't want to come off as like a complete Bryce Young hater, but they're the side of, like, I think people kind of refuse to bring up. They're not the only person I've seen say the Panthers are going to take this huge step forward. Is like their defense still sucks.
No, yeah, I agree. I think
JC Horn, their best player, never plays.
I think the biggest detractor is going to be their defense. Like, this is the part where I'm not as confident in, because I think Carolina's defense was literally the worst in the league in like both rushing and passing. And to that, I say
awful. They were like historically awful rushing defense. Like, you just don't fix that in one off season.
Well, to that I say, you can't be the worst twice, right? You can't be historically worse again. That's all I got there.
We're gonna test that theory this year with their defense and the Bengals defense.
That's true.
Yeah. Are you a big believer in Ted McMillan? Because I feel like he's their one weapon. Because we saw how good Xavier Legette was last year, and let's really hope he improves a lot because he wasn't giving a ton there. It's like him, Chuba Hubbard. People are saying maybe he doesn't do this as well this year as well. Kind of holding on hopes for Ted breaking out.
I mean, look, guys, I watched a lot of Panthers games last season because I had Chuba Hubbard on my fantasy league. Like, it wasn't pretty a lot of the time. But their offense always looked like they had a semblance of competence. Like, if you get any kind of, like, guy in there that wasn't a 34-year-old Adam Thielen, right? I think that Canales has schemed for an ex-wide receiver before in Mike Evans. They spent the high draft pick on him. I think there's a priority there to get him the ball. I won't say he will, like, rise to the top or anything, but I do think that he will be an effective wide receiver for them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he'll be good, but like I said, I think they'll take a step in the right direction. Realistically, like my opinion on the Panthers, to take a step in the right direction. They're not last in their division, which is huge, and I think they'll be like 7 wins, 6 wins, but a competitive 7-6, not just like hey, we're gonna pull off a few wins at the end of the year.
I think they're gonna leapfrog. So again, all of these are an issue of semantics here. I do have the Falcons competing very, very hard, but I think the Panthers will win via tiebreaker or 1 win. That's a thing. Like, it's not like, oh, the Falcons are going to suck and they're just going to disappear off the face of the earth. I actually have them with a winning record, but I just think that the Panthers are going to somehow, some way win the division. Because it always happens every year. Something happens like that.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I don't see it, but...
Put it on my grave. Put it on my grave.
Ted
McMillan, alpha wide receiver 1.
Here lies Matthew Lee. He believed in Bryce Young.
Panthers 2025 Division Winners. Bryce Young, Ted McMillan is the new Brady Moss. All right. All right, let's move on to the NFC West here, though. This is a surprising turn of events here because we got 2 49ers fans in the room. Maybe 3. Who knows? But we both picked the Rams as our division winner. And the one who isn't a confirmed Niners fan picked the 49ers as the division winner. So why don't you explain that, G?
I mean, I just don't see it. What do you guys like? Come on, man. Let's be real here. Like, Christian McCaffrey's healthy. Kittle's healthy.
For now.
Sure, Ayuk's not healthy. Sure, Juwan's not healthy. I don't care. Purdy's playing, and the other 2 white men are playing. That's really all they need. Trent Williams is out there. That'll be enough. And the biggest thing for me with the Niners is Robert Saleh's back. That in itself is just a upgrade that can't even, like, from what they had last year to what they're gonna have this year. It's gonna be night and day. They're going to be a whole different defense. And it's just the intensity. It's just the schematics of it. It's everything about having Robert Saleh there that's going to flip the defense. And then we're talking about records here. You need to win the division and stuff. Like, their teams they play this year are awful. Like, you look at their schedule and be like, what teams would the Niners for sure cannot compete with? There's not many. And they've had when they're healthy, great hold on the division. They can go to LA. They used to be called, what is it called? What is it called? Like Niner South or something? I don't know what they used to call it.
Levi's South.
Basically.
Levi South. There you go. So they called that's how bad it was for them in the division. They were just beating everybody. And I don't see how that changes. Like, Purdy's good. He's got his money. And I love that they got all of their contracts figured out before the season starts. Juwan Jennings does not count. That's a big deal. And kind of my pessimistic side of the Rams. I mean, they'll turn on your TV, watch some sports show for an hour. They're probably talking about how Matthew Stafford just returned back from his back injury. I have a 37-year-old quarterback coming off a back injury. Like, this is a guy that's not first injury, it's like 15th injury. So you're going to tell me he's going to go in with the back injury. And then it's like, oh shit. So if he doesn't play, then what are we left with?
You're
left with fucking Jimmy goddamn G. And that is awful. Last time we seen him, he looked awful. And I understand McVay's there now, but that has not changed. Jimmy G is not good. So I can't depend on that. And a lot of their defense last year, there was young, there were rookies, there was, guys who we never heard of producing. Like, that's a lot to ask for a continuous amount of success. Like, sure, Jared Verse will be good. I'm sure Brandon Fisk will be good. But, like, what about every other guy that was kind of like a no-name that played a lot better than they were? Was there not a chance for, like, some regression there? Like,
Brian, do you want to go first, or should I point first? As cynical Niners
you want
fans.
directly... Yeah, well, I was going to say about the same thing. I think, and Matt and I are probably on the same wavelengths. We're just so cynical about the Niners. We've seen the story so many times before where it's like, oh, Niners have so much hope coming into the season and it all falls apart due to things like injuries there. And that's what it's, at least the start of the season is shaping out to be. Ayuk is out. It's like, it's a lot of hope in Ricky Pearsall here to really kind of pop off, and Juwan Jennings is hurt. And of course, there's McCaffrey and there's Kittle. They're a constant there. I think it's just a lot of pessimism around kind of the offense still being the same. Like the guys they've added, the Chiefs, like the
Sky
old
Moore.
Chiefs throwaway, Sky Moore,
and Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Somehow still in the league out there. It's the wide receiver room is a mess there. So I think that's a lot of pessimism is. And this defense, right? Saleh, I do, of course, as a Niners fan, generally hope that he can shore up their defense there. But I think there's still a lot of young guys on the Niners defense. I think like two or three of the guys we drafted this year, like Michael Williams, the defensive edge, like a cornerback, Upton Stout, those are like new guys, and they're going to be probably thrust into the starting position. I think a couple of guys might be injured on defense too to kind of start the season. So kind of a younger defense, hopefully Saleh can shore that up. But then the offense was effectively two wide receivers. Hopefully Juwan Jennings isn't too serious of an injury there. It just seems like kind of a recipe for an underwhelming Niners season. Is that kind of along your lines of thinking, that?
Yeah, I mean, I think when the season was set up and kind of how the schedule was set up, like they get the AFC South and the NFC South, right? So easy money, right? Barbecue chicken. Like this is set up to get at least double-digit wins. So I had actually a lot of high expectations and hopes for what the Niners could accomplish before the offseason. But then in the offseason, we kind of had to shed a lot of cap space, right? We got rid of guys like Javon Hargrave.
Ass. What are we talking about? Like,
Sharif
see, all the
Floyd.
years. See, that's my thing. I don't get it. All
chill
years
out.
You gotta tell.
Let me finish. I'm just saying that we've got rid of a lot of people that were established starters, like Hargrave, Sharif Floyd, Charvarius Ward, Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw.
Hufanga's never there. Right? Dre Greenlaw's never there.
Can you name 5 starters right now on defense?
On the defense?
Yes.
Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Jair Brown, Lenore, and then the other linebacker, Mufasa, the other safety.
Mustafa's hurt.
Okay,
he's on IR.
You got to bring up
ACL.
Look. Okay, well,
there's only 3 starters that are returning from last year on defense: Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Diamador Lenore. Right? Everybody else is new. Right? The entire defensive line, other than Nick Bosa, is a rookie this year. Michael Williams, C.J. West, and I believe Alfred Collins are going to be the other starting linemen beside Bosa. Right? I believe in Robert Saleh. I really like the move. I'm glad he's back. But it's a lot to ask for 8 new defensive starters to become a Super Bowl kind of championship caliber defense all in one go, right? It's a new defensive scheme. It's their first time in the pros, right? There's going to be also that college fatigue, right? They only play like 10 games. You ever heard of that where, they kind of, as the season goes on, they kind of hit a little bit of a wall because they're used to the season ending in November, right? So I worry about all of that. And then I worry, I didn't even want to worry about the offense, but now all of a sudden we don't have any wide receivers. Like Juwan Jennings decided to hold out in the worst possible time. Debo's gone, which, iffy, right? Ayuk rehabbing from his ACL tear. So, yeah, we're starting Ricky Pearsall, and right now, we're projected to have Marquez Valdez-Scantling as, the other guy. So,
yikes.
That's worrying to me. And then we never addressed the offensive line here. So, Jake Brendel, he's our center. He's still there. He's still ass, right? We didn't really replace our left guard, so we were starting the backup, Ben Barch, who's also already hurt. And then our right guard, who's probably the second best offensive lineman on the team, Dominic Pooney, he got hurt in the preseason. So maybe he'll be back by week 1. We don't know. it's just a lot to ask for. It's a lot to ask for at the beginning. And you talk about, the Rams, their defensive starters, they were all rookies. Like, that's what you want, right? The Niners want what the Rams did last year, which is somehow all these rookies will somehow form a cohesive defensive unit. But right now, the Rams already do have a cohesive defensive unit, and they have the continuity of the defense. So I believe a little bit more in their defense prowess. I think a kid can handle Sean McVay's offense, much less Jimmy G. So I'm not too concerned about that. I think if Stafford's going to play, he's going to play. You're betting on basically a guy's back to break, right? Our backs are already broken. So, there you go.
Honestly,
I mean, I don't even know what to tell you guys. Like, it blows my mind how like pessimistic you guys are for absolutely
I want
no
this
reason.
to win. Look, we're hosting the Super Bowl this year. I want the Niners to win the Super Bowl this year. I do every year, but it was very much set up to be easy schedule, host the Super Bowl. The NFC's not that great this year. You got all the elite quarterbacks fighting it out in the AFC. Like, it's prime position for any NFC team to take it, right? And whoever has the best record will get the home field advantage, right? It's all great. But the Niners had to shed cap space. That's what they had to do. They got rid of all these expensive players. They got rid of, like the Debos and the offensive line, right? Like, they just had to do what they had to do, but it just means it looks like they're rebuilding a little bit more than reloading.
No. So see, I cannot more disagree with you on that point of things. And that's the last point about this, our division here. I would compare the Niners this year, obviously take out their current wide receiver injuries and whatnot, but even then, even if you said whatever, who is not going to play, whatever is going to happen with Jennings, fine. This is the exact same thing, in my opinion, to what the Bills were doing last year, where they gutted the roster. People were like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And, we kind of talked about it ourselves. I'm not sure if we all had the Bills winning the division last year, but that was a topic. Like, oh, they're retooling, they're rebuilding, they're going to take a step back. Like, when you have a system in place with Shanahan and Saleh now back in the San Francisco, they're going to be just fine. Like, I just don't know how else to, stress that. They're going to be just fine. Like, Kittle is going to be great. Mm-hmm. CMC is going to be great. Brock Purdy's going to be good to really good when everybody's playing. He'll be that next step quarterback. And then what's the concern? Like, I understand there's some guys on defense that were not there anymore, but those guys were also injured, not productive, and it's probably better they got replaced. Like, why do they always have to be a negative when bad players or injured players leave?
I liken it more to the 2022 Chiefs, where they got rid of Tyreek Hill and they got rid of all these defensive guys. And then in the draft, they drafted all defense, basically, and it paid off, right? That's where they got Pacheco and Nick Bolton, and they won over the Eagles in that Super Bowl. Like, everyone thought they were going to take a step back, but they were able to take a step forward. I mean, that's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate goal, where everybody already has a great development and they are able to do well. My only thing is that I've seen the way we draft. It's not great. It's kind of hit and miss. And the Bills and the Chiefs don't have the same kind of injury history that we have, which is tragic. So, yeah, it's kind of cynicism right there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't kill that. I can't feel what you guys felt, so I can't stop you guys from being whatever you want to call it. I call it pessimistic.
You can join us.
No, I'm not. I have no reason to.
By the way, I know I didn't mention it in the intro, but G will be picking his team at the end of this episode, so stay tuned for the decision. Many are saying it's better than LeBron's.
Many are saying my decision is more important than LeBron's, more legacy changing, but that's not here or there. That's for later.
Yeah. Let's just move on to the NFC wildcards real quick. So, I mean, as much as I trashed on the three teams here, I did have the Niners, the Lions, and the Falcons all making it as the wildcard teams. Look, guys, I'm not going to say that they're all terrible here. Like, there are still, wildcard teams that do make the playoffs, even though they don't win the division. And these are just the guys that, I think are in second place. So,
no Commanders is crazy, but I'll let you be.
I could talk a lot about that, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Commanders and Falcons is very close, but I think that the Falcons' record will just end up being better than the Commanders. I think the Commanders have a harder path.
That's fair. They probably do. I mean, I still have them in my wild card teams. I got the Commanders, and I still got the Packers. I don't think they're going to take enough of a step back to, get out of the playoffs here. And then my last team and my most surprising team in the playoffs this year will be the Arizona Cardinals.
This is
And
weird.
I think they're going to be the second best team in the division. I'm not in on the Rams at all, so I'm not going to make that case again. But the Cardinals, they're young. They got this stud wide receiver, a superstar wide receiver, just sitting there ready to be a superstar. And I think they're going to figure it out this year. They got Trey McBride, who's probably a top 3 to 4 tight end in the league. So they got the offensive side figured out, honestly, and they have a great O-line. They have a young, good O-line. They've been working on that for the last couple of drafts. And then defensively, they were really bad last year, but they replaced almost 8 or 9 of their starters, which is a sign of how bad their defense was last year, if you can replace that many guys in one offseason. But, hey, you got John... Well, yeah, exactly. It happens when you have a bad defense, like, you know what I mean? So I see the same thing kind of, Jonathan Gannon's a good defensive coordinator when he was Philadelphia. He had one of the best defenses ever. I think they led the NFL in sacks ever when he was their DC. So I still think he's a good coach. I mean, is he on the hot seat? Maybe a little. Maybe it's getting a little warm. But he needs to produce, and I think they will. And I think they'll be good enough to be like a 5 or a 6 seed.
Well, I mean, yeah, honestly, I had picked the Rams first. I didn't believe at all in the Seahawks. And then, Seahawks have Daddy Darnold. I've seen how that story plays out in multiple teams now. And then the Cardinals, I don't know. I feel like they have changed a lot for the defense. But I feel like we've seen like Kyler Murray. We've seen what he offers there, and maybe they will reach the playoffs there, but I don't think they can get like much beyond super far in the playoffs with Kyler at the helm there. Maybe he gives up Fortnite or COD or whatever he's playing these days. Maybe that'll help him out. But
he's been to one playoff game, right? He was in one playoff game. He got embarrassed.
Yeah, he played absolutely. Yeah, he got absolutely embarrassed. Fucking played like shit. Looked like he was playing COD all night.
Yeah,
classic Kyler. Well, for my wild card teams there, of course, got the Eagles, the Niners, and my spicy take for this episode is the Bears. I feel like the Bears, this is Caleb's second
why,
season.
huh?
I wonder why. Caleb Williams, having high hopes in him once again. But I mean, right, you got DJ Moore, Adunze in the second season, another weapon in Luther Burden. I feel like their offense, and also with who is your new offensive coordinator? I'm blanking on his name right now.
You mean Ben Johnson?
Ben Johnson, the former Lions OC, right? And there's reports from, I think, kind of training camp throughout the season. There's that video of Caleb getting upset at throwing the ball into like the
I know exactly what
like that famous clip.
Such a funny
but
clip.
then I mean they had some really great preseason games. Put as much stock in that as you want to there. But I just feel like Caleb, this is all the money on Caleb here, right? If he can't have a good season with an offensive-minded offensive coordinator there that's not Shane Waldron, and with all of these weapons, and I feel like their O-line, I'm praying it can't be as bad as last year. There's no way it can be that bad, but
yeah, I don't think their offensive line was very bad last year. I think a lot of that was Caleb Williams induced, and that's what Ben Johnson there is trying to coach out of him. So I think I was so close. I would say if I had an 8th seed. I know there's not a thing as an 8th seed, but it would be the Bears.
Yeah.
It's just the division's too tough for me to think 3 teams are going to make it again.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll see how we do. I feel like the Vikings are, that's just betting on JJ McCarthy being bad there. But yeah, Bears would probably have to duke it out, win a couple from the Packers and Lions there. We'll see if they can steal some.
Yeah. Well, we got some spicy takes, some good debate there in the NFC. We'll see what happens when we switch over to the AFC now. Unfortunately, we're starting off with what we call a little sweep across the board, back-to-back sweeps as well. This is like the NBA playoffs.
We could just go with all of them here because I'm sorry, AFC fans, we don't have anything here because you guys have like 4 of the 5 most elite quarterbacks in the league. So I think we just all agree that those guys are going to win the division. So I mean, Bills, Buffalo, Ravens, Chiefs, like they're all sweeping, right? We didn't pick a single one.
Teams.
Yeah.
Quickly, if you guys had to pick one of the 3 to lose their division, which one would you pick? Like you had to pick one.
Oh God.
No reasoning needed. Just if you had to pick one.
Chiefs.
I'd go Ravens.
Chiefs.
Yeah, Ravens. Maybe the Bengals can sort it out, but I mean their defense, they still haven't fully addressed that. So
the only division you didn't name, Matt, was the best division in the NFL, as people say, the AFC South.
Shit show part 2. Yes.
Classic.
Shit show part 2, exactly. Surprisingly enough, every year, I pick the Jaguars. People that watch the podcast are probably not surprised. I picked the Jaguars. I think that Trevor Lawrence was my MVP last year, which I'm not doing again this year. But AFC South again, I got the Jaguars. But Matt, you joined me, buddy.
I joined you.
Yes.
Gee.
Sell me, guys, on the Jaguars here. What's the Jaguars? Are you guys hoping on Trevor Lawrence finally having that great season, or what's the Jags got going for them?
Okay, so last year I told everyone that Jaguars would suck, and I was right. But that was because of coaching. I did not believe in Doug Peterson, and I most importantly did not believe in Press Taylor, the offensive coordinator for the Jaguars. Like, there was a reason why they lost like 9 straight games or whatever the season before, and then that kind of carried over to the next season, right? Like, when momentum gets bad, it kind of just, gets even worse over time. But, this year it's different because they got Liam Cohen. He just had a great season with the Bucs as their offensive coordinator. He's got offensive experience. He's not going to put, Trevor Lawrence in that offense in kind of like the weird traditionalist mindset that Doug Peterson have. I think that, Liam Cohen knows what's right for this team, and I think he's going to take him a step forward. I think this is a best chance for Trevor as any. I mean, I think this is his 3rd head coach by now. So, I mean, he has to figure it out at this point. And Jaguars have to have a decision to make on whether or not he's going to be their franchise quarterback. And if he doesn't do it with Cohen, who just led Baker Mayfield to career years, I think Trevor needs to really just step it up here. And I think he will. They got Brian Thomas, who's now their alpha wide receiver. They got Travis Hunter, who's their wide receiver 2 at worst, right? Well, let's not even talk about the two-way stuff. They got 2 guys right there. And then they got a bunch of people in the backfield, which we don't know who's going to actually be the good guy right there. Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Tootin. We've talked about it ad nauseum in fantasy football, but let's just say one of them works out there. They've upgraded a couple pieces on their offensive line. They got a couple of interior linemen, so that will be better. I just think that they'll take a bigger leap. And I think it's also based on the decline of the Texans. They traded away their best, left tackle. I don't know why you do that. Why? I don't get it. Because their offensive line wasn't that good last year, and now let's trade away your best offensive lineman. It just feels like they didn't really make a lot of strides in terms of upgrading the offense when offense was their worst thing last year, right? They got rid of Stephon Diggs. They drafted 2 rookie wide receivers to basically replace him and Tank Dell, who's already out for the year because he suffered that terrible injury, right? So it's just CJ Stroud and Nico. Yeah, no Joe Mixon either. We don't know where he went. I don't know what happened to him either. He just disappeared.
They're saying there's a report he might not play all year.
Yeah, so what the fuck is going on? I don't know. But that doesn't seem like very good vibes to start the year. I think their defense is still really good. D'Amico Ryans is great. You can't just win off defense. That's the thing. Defense wins championships, but you need to score some points, right? So I just got the Jaguars kind of getting up in terms of momentum. Texans going down.
That makes sense there. I picked the Texans there mostly because I knew Jaguars had a whole new offense there. I still have some questions about kind of their defense because that defense was doing too hot last year. I would wager they've made some changes to it there, but I still have some question marks from there. And yeah, Texans, they've kept their same most of the good pieces on their defense, so that's looking solid. And I do kind of agree their offense is a bit stale, especially if Mixon, if he can't play this year, that'd be insane. But yeah, with guys like Chubb, Damian Pierce next up in line, and then a weakened offensive line. Although I think they did make some changes. I think they made some changes to that line too. But yeah, I feel like, can Stroud find his stride from his first rookie year in the league? Can he bring out some of that? And Nico Collins is going to be hopefully healthy and doesn't get another.
Nico Collins and Stroud will be good, but it's just the O-line is so bad. It's so bad. And then they traded Tunsil, didn't use a first-round pick on a lineman. I'm just what are they doing? This is just I want to get my quarterback killed and just have his trajectory every year go down and down.
Yeah. This is one of those things. And then let's talk about the schedule. They got the first team in each division. And who is that? It's the Chiefs, it's the Ravens, it's the Bills, right? So that's probably 3 losses right there. That's what concerns me.
That's a lot. Yeah, it is for me. And I think they're kind of due for regression. I think they had some regression last year, but just the division being bad kind of let them get back in and they won a playoff game. So shout out to them.
Yeah, that was actually really surprising. Who'd they beat? They beat the Chargers? Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, they Justin Herbert threw his 4 picks.
Oh, that game.
I guess defense does win sometimes.
Yeah, well, let's go to our wild card teams, which is gets a little wild. I'm looking into this. And I'm like, there's some wild teams. This is wild card for a reason, huh? You guys know I was going to bring the Steelers, of course. Come on, Matt. You went 11-14 last year, and I remember telling you to pick the Steelers. You listened to me, and look at that. They were one of the ones that were right again. We're going to be in it again.
Jeez.
But
year.
we'll probably get smoked in the first round again.
What do you mean we?
Come on, Matt. I need you to believe. We, as in you and me, in our fandom of the Steelers.
Brian, how about you go say your playoff teams?
Do I believe in the Steelers? I don't know. They got old man Aaron Rodgers. They trotted him out for the season. We'll see how he does. For my teams, for the wild card, going to go with the Bengals, the Jags, and the Broncos here. Broncos, I just think kind of Bo Nix showed a lot in his first year. I think, just that off. I think I can just see him having another good season with that offense there. So yeah, I can see the Broncos making their way into the wild card system here.
Yeah, and I got the Patriots. Which is very interesting.
Crazy.
If only Gab was here, right? Finally, after all these prediction episodes, I finally have the Patriots in one of them. Like, I guess someone has to do it every episode, one of these, right? So I guess I took the Gab role there. I mean, I don't see why the Patriots can't be a 9-8 team. They got Mike Vrabel, who is an infinitely better coach than Gerard Mayo was. I don't even know what they were thinking in terms of that experiment, but I think what happens in terms of coaching is that coaching really matters, right? It really brings a lot of guys down, even when, the talent is there on paper. Coaching can really just destroy a team, especially in the NFL when every single play that's called is based on coaching, right? It's based on kind of studying the game film, tendencies, right? So if you have a bad coach out there who doesn't know what he's doing, it ruins the whole entire operation. And then, even the Patriots, the talent got better, right? Drake May is probably going to get better in his second year. You got Travion Henderson, which everyone is talking about as, a phenom, right? He's going to be better in the receiving room. You upgraded all those offensive linemen, right? You spent a 4th overall pick on Will Campbell, who's going to be their steady left tackle. He's getting protection. And, that's the Patriots' biggest weakness last year was protection. And now they upgraded all those offensive linemen. So I think that's going to be a big, big factor in terms of that offense. And you also hired Josh McDaniels to take over on offense. And we know he's a terrible head coach, but he's a pretty good offensive coordinator, especially for the Patriots. So then you got them on offense. You got Stephon Diggs as well. I didn't even mention him there. And then you have the defense, which will be handled by Mike Vrabel, which wasn't even, super bad last year. And now you got a proven defensive coach there. So I feel like, it's also not a great schedule right there. It's a pretty favorable schedule for them. I also think that the Dolphins will collapse and the Jets will be very bad. So I think they'll farm the wins off them. So I see them as a 5th seed. I see them as the 5th seed. And that's crazy to say.
That's high expectations from you, Matt.
I think that they'll be pretty good. And I got the Broncos as a 2nd seed, as a 6th seed right there. I agree with Brian. I think that they're just very stable, but they're just not great. But they'll stick around as a wildcard team. And then I couldn't decide between the Bengals and the Texans and the Raiders. I feel like they're all in the same kind of arc right there. It's so very chaotic. I really, really want to put the Bengals in. But if I want to win in terms of predictions and have mine as the most accurate, I'm going to go with the Steelers as my 7th seed. Right here.
Let's go.
Just to get
She's happy.
Playoff eligibility here.
Yes, sir. And then that takes me to mine. I will be also going with the Steelers, as I said previously. Fucking love you, man. I fucking love it. And then I got the Bengals making it as well. I think 3 teams in the AFC North can go. I think the Bengals defense gets incrementally better, and I think that's all you need. And then my surprise team of the AFC wild card. Let's make it wild. I got the Raiders. No Broncos, no Chargers. Both missed the playoffs. Both dealing with things already. In terms of the Chargers already got Slater out. That's huge. It couldn't be probably any worse other than just your quarterback getting hurt. That's going to be big for them, something they have to deal with. And then the Broncos, I don't see it. I think there's the big sophomore slump hitting towards Denver and Bo Nix. The defense beat up on a lot of bad quarterbacks. I would remind you that they played 9 quarterbacks last year that are not even starting this year. So shout out to the Broncos and their quote-unquote elite defense. So we'll see about it this year. Man. But those are my 3 wild card teams: Raiders, Bengals, Steelers.
I'm going to call it an audible heel, like Peyton.
Oh, audible.
I'm putting Chargers in over the Broncos. I forgot about the Chargers. I like them a little bit more. They got a better quarterback.
Yeah.
I like Harbaugh better than Peyton. Biggest thing is,
Respect.
Rashawn Slater, and then Najee Harris, his face exploded. But, I mean, I think that they'll be fine enough to get a wild card team.
I like it. There you go. Changing it up on us. But no one really has the same wild card teams in the AFC. So this is kind of exciting. Should be good. We have a lot of teams missing the playoffs here that we made it last year. So should be a good season, I think. And now the best part of it all, we give our Super Bowl predictions.
Someone else go first. I'm not ready. I'm still editing while I'm like looking at all this. I'm hearing your guys' cases.
No worries. I'll go. I'll make it nice and simple. I have the Eagles making it again. I think they're clearly the best team in the NFL, but the best team doesn't always win, as I think we learned last year. The Chiefs were the best team all year, didn't win. And this year, the best team by winning the Super Bowl will be the Buffalo Bills. I got Josh Allen getting his first one. I think there's last year in their stadium, I could see some NFL riggage, just like, hey, let's give it all to the Bills before they get their stadium. So next year, when they have a brand new stadium,
for the Bills Dome Stadium, they're gonna rig the NFL.
No, because it's about next year's stadium. How could you build the most hype going to next year's new stadium? You give them a Super Bowl. Imagine that brand new stadium. Sunday, or what would it be, Thursday night football.
Our
Bills
stadium is the one that's hosting the Super Bowl. Where's our Super Bowl win?
You guys lost that opportunity back in 2013.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring that back up, but yeah, I got the Bills. I see it.
You seen it. Well, I'm gonna keep the same team from the NFC making the Super Bowl in the Eagles. But yeah, I feel like it's just so hard to go back to back. Well, I guess the Chiefs just did that, but it's hard to go back to back in this league. And I'm gonna go with the other AFC dominant team, the Ravens, over the Eagles Super Bowl. I was judging between the Bills and the Ravens, and I'm a very vibe-based kind of superstitious person. I'm just looking at those franchises. Like the Bills, you've lost 4 in a row. Like that's a cursed franchise if I've ever seen one over there. Where I feel like the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, I've always been a big fan of Lamar. It's time for Lamar to get the Super Bowl. He deserves it. He's going to turn up. And I can see a Birds Super Bowl and the Ravens winning them.
Very nice, very nice. I mean, I think we all agree at this point that the Chiefs are not going to make it back, right? And they've been to the last 3 Super Bowls. It's over. Move on. Travis, go get married already. Right, like it's a Super Bowl loser's
married man.
Yeah,
he's gonna be a father now. He's not gonna be killing people on the field no more.
Travis Swift, yes. I think it's a Super Bowl loser's curse as well. Like last time the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl, they didn't make it back to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship. Like they'll be good, but I think that there is a certain point where it kind of gets exhausting, right? Having to play those like 20 games every season and kind of the mental wear on that. So I think that they do end up falling short this time before they make it to the, Super Bowl. And which team stands the most to gain from the Chiefs getting eliminated before the Super Bowl? It's the Bills, right? The Bills always lose to Patrick Mahomes somehow, and that's what's been keeping them down. And the last one, the most recent one, you could argue that they could have won that game if the refs gave Josh Allen that quarterback sneak on 4th and 1, right?
You didn't get that 4th and 1, but yeah,
they got that 4th and 1.
They did not, but that's why he didn't get it. But
no, that's because they rigged it. But they're gonna win this year. I would pick the Ravens because they would be the second favorite, but I just don't believe right now in Lamar's playoff record. Like, he's literally just lost to both Mahomes and Allen. So I feel like, if it comes down to Allen versus Lamar, I think it would be Allen, right? So I have the Bills winning the AFC side. NFC side, it's so hard. I think the Eagles are going to be the favorites all the way, but I just have a feeling that they're somehow going to get upset before the NFC happens. So, I mean, I'm going to go with a surprising pick here. I'm going to go with my Niners. I'm going to go with them upsetting the Eagles in the divisional round, and then they're going to advance to the playoffs in the Super Bowl and host the Super Bowl against the Bills, and then they're going to lose it. So the Bills will beat the Niners in the Super Bowl this year.
Bills over Niners.
And it'll kill me. I'll finally be free.
That's crazy. What if it was
a fairy tale ending all at the end because we choke it again?
Jesus Christ, bro. You can be optimistic.
Matt, can your heart even take 3 Niners Super Bowl? Wait,
what do you mean?
Fourth?
We did already lose 3
Niners Super Bowl losses? Can your heart take that, man? I don't think I could.
I think it would be funny. No, it's not funny, but I think
it'd be so sad.
It'd be hilariously, tragically woven if we somehow ended up hosting the Super Bowl and then also lost it anyway. Because the Bucks, they won their hosted Super Bowl. Rams won their hosted Super Bowl. So the Niners, if they had a hosted Super Bowl, somehow they'd lose it. Yeah, it'd probably be over for me. I'd probably be done with everything right there.
Damn.
There you have
it. At that point, we would have inherited the Bills' curse because they would have won their one, and we've lost 4 in a row. We're going to be the new curse team if that happens. Which
that's the prediction.
That's a bad juju.
All right. Well, some superlatives here that we also kind of want to talk about. Worst to first team. There's always a team that goes from the worst team in the NFL to first or kind of first adjacent. You'd argue that the Commanders last year was in that category, even though the Eagles won. But for me, I got the Panthers going from the worst in the NFC South to the first. G, what do you have?
I got the Niners. I think it's the easiest answer and the most correct.
Of course.
And I got the Bears. The Bears. I mean, maybe not the first, but like playoffs, which would be a massive improvement for this Bears team. So
I think they'd be okay with that. Worst team in the league. This is a lot of great choices here. I mean,
a lot of bad teams.
There are a lot of bad teams. In my season simulator thing, I had the Browns finishing at 2-15. So I'm gonna go with them.
I have the Saints as my worst team because they're going to be starting Tyler Shuck at one point in the season, and he's god-awful.
Shuck. I'm going to go with the Jets here. Justin Fields, can he throw a football? Well, stay tuned for this season. I'm down with it. But Jets are pretty cursed, and yeah, I'll go with them.
First coach to get fired here. I actually had a couple names, Jonathan Gannon, Mike McDaniel, but the Browns being the worst record in the league made me realize that I think Kevin Stefanski will actually get fired. And it's not because he's not a good head coach, which I think he actually is, but I think it's because the Browns ownership will meddle so much, like they already have with the Deshaun Watson thing and now the Shedeur Sanders thing. I think if they suck and Stefanski won't put in Sanders, I think they'll fire him, put in a puppet, and then Shedeur Sanders will start a game, and he won't play that well. But Stefanski
I can't imagine under those circumstances he's going to play well. I will take one of the guys you didn't pick, though. I will take Mike McDaniel. I think he will be god-awful. I think they'll be last in the division. I think the Dolphins everything falls off this year. I think this year's Dolphins and next year's Dolphins team will be two drastically different teams. It's just insane. Have you guys heard the stuff they've been talking about how the Dolphins practice and how teams are like, the Dolphins are like not even ready to practice with us in joint practices. The whole nine. It's so bad. You could be fired right now and I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I was going to give one coach of a team I'm a big fan of, but I'm going to hold that because I don't want to manifest anything here and I don't want to jinx anything. So I'm going to skip saying that coach I was going to say. I don't actually know. I'm going to pick whatever bad team's coach, like the Jets or something like that. I don't know. Some bad team's coach is going to get fired again. I'm just pivoting last second away because I do not want to manifest anything.
We know what it is on the dock, and if you've heard any of the context clues, you'll know what it is. And thank God you're pivoting because I would have started a firestorm. But
yeah,
it's okay. We're losing the Super Bowl this year. Keep your hopes high.
Oh, God.
What hopes?
All right, MVP.
Lamar.
Give me my homeboy.
Damn. Oh God, I don't know. This sucks. I won last year too. I'm gonna go with Mahomes.
Oh, boo! Don't copy my pick.
Fine. I go Jalen Hurts. Even though I don't necessarily believe he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, I think based off record and I think based off his statistics, I think they'll pass a lot more this year. So then they can't say that Saquon Barkley really carried that team. I think it'll be Hurts.
Yeah.
No Josh Allen lovers.
He won his.
Yeah,
I don't think Josh and Lamar
back-to-back.
can win. I don't think they can. I think they need to. Honestly, I don't think that either of them can win another Super Bowl or win an MVP until they win a Super Bowl. I don't know how that works, but how this shit goes, you know?
I think that's the case. I think Lamar only lost last year because you can't have a 3-time MVP without ever making a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
Kind of contradicts the whole point of the award itself, I think.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I thought it was a regular season award.
It is a regular season award, but I think that plays into the fact.
It's a narrative. It's the narrative.
like
that
that.
builds the narrative against the player, right? The narrative is going to be Lamar can't win a third MVP if he hasn't made a Super Bowl, and that narrative will be pushed until he wins the Super Bowl or at least makes the Super Bowl.
It's like Embiid in the NBA, similar deal. I guess.
Yeah,
He won one, right? He won one MVP.
he won his one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you have it. That's all our predictions for this year. And now for the announcement, the decision. I feel like we should have music for this. Maybe I'll find something later. But, I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
We compared this decision very similarly to one LeBron James who, about 20 odd years ago, decided that he was going to take his talents to South Beach. And as today I reflect my decisions, I will also take my talents close to South Beach. Duval!
Boo.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Was
Really?
that a good Duval? Was that a good Duval at least?
It's better than Cohen's.
Duval.
Is there a clip of the Coens? Was it lackluster?
It was
He
just
looked
this.
weird.
Yeah, he looked weird. It sounded weird. It looked like I don't know. Just look it up.
That.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm a Jags fan for the year. I'm always going to root. The Steelers will always have my heart, and if they start playing good, I'll probably still just be a Steeler fan. But honestly, I hate Aaron Rodgers. I wish we had Trevor Lawrence at our quarterback.
Oh, man. I mean, I guess I should have seen it coming. I thought you were going to go way out of left field or some shit, and you'd be like, oh.
No, I just can't.
I'm a Bucks fan now.
No, it's just the only teams I really considered here are one of like 3 or 4 teams. It was the Jaguars, it was the Cardinals, but I don't like the Cardinals enough. I think they're going to be good. I don't like them enough to like really want to,
Care about
do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to watch Cardinal games and actually care about them. Not meaning I really want to watch Jags games either, but and then the other teams are kind of just like more fun teams that are like could win the Super Bowl and stuff. I was like, maybe I'll just be an Eagles fan.
Yeah. You can't be an Eagles fan, though.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't do it. So that's where we landed on the only team that I like. It's still kind of like it can't really be hated on for being a Jags bandwagon. Like, might be the only one on that bandwagon. So,
Travis Hunter fans?
oh yeah, they're true. They're cool. He's cool. Duval though.
Not the worst team decision, honestly. Like, they are exciting, and if our predictions are right, they'll be division winners. So,
Yeah,
there you
and
go.
I'll take that as a success for them.
Well, there you have it, folks. G's off-season is officially done. His decision is final. Our predictions are all set. All of our episodes before the preseason are now published. So, there you go. Here we come. Regular season's about to kick off.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, any predictions you need us to make, any mock drafts you need help with, go to our social media, which is sports_counsel. We're on all the big major social media platforms. And then look for our Discord and join, talk to us, let us know what you think and what you need help with, what your questions are. We're here for you guys.
Yep. Season's about to kick off, guys. Get ready.
Can't
Get
wait.
ready.
I can't
It's
wait.
here.
Hyped.
Oh my gosh. On also a side note, I will be off just like how I ended last season. Internationally, I will be going internationally to start the season this year. So, G will be taking over for a week or so, but I'll be back. I'll let you guys know. Bye.
I'll be back, governor.
Yes. You're in very good hands there with G.
Yeah. Awesome.
Alright. That's gonna do it. You wanna do it one more time, G?
Duval.
There it is, folks. The world's biggest Jags fan.